guys, welcome back to another classic movie review. Today we're going to be talking about the 1980 movie directed by Ruggero Deodato, The House on the Edge of the Park. Now, this movie was subsequently banned in the UK for a number of years. Since then, we've had a number of releases, most recently a 4K release. This movie I was aware of due to the fact that it starred David Hess, who was the lead character in Wes Craven's Last House on the Left. That movie, very familiar with that, watched that movie when I was a kid. To be honest, I've not really ever seen David Hess in any other production, so this was a first. It was really cool to see David Hess once again pretty much playing a very loose version of the Krug character that he played in Last House on the Left. He plays the scumbag Alex. He is a car engineer. He works in a garage fixing cars. And at the very start of the movie, literally within 2 minutes of the movie, we see Alex drive a woman off the road and then basically sexually assault her. This comes out of nowhere, so we don't really have any build up, and this whole time we have this weird kind of song that's playing in the background, and David Hess, his character Alex, basically not only sexually assaults this girl, but basically strangles her to death, leaving her dead. And then basically we cut to 1 year later, and that's where the story basically starts. So a very crazy intro to begin with, kind of sets the tone for this movie. It is very at times sexually perverse, kind of the word exploitation comes into mind, and I think that sums up this movie. Should we really be surprised given the fact that the director Deodato had previously directed the movie Cannibal Holocaust, the controversial movie that saw a group of men and women basically get tortured and eaten. A lot of exploitation throughout this movie, a lot of sexual exploitation, and I guess really, to be honest, not to say that David Hess is typecast, but he really, he's perfect for this role, a sexual deviant that he played in Last House on the Left, and he pretty much, as I said, plays an extension of that in this movie. We're transported to 1 year later, and that whole intro, the whole sexual assault, is kind of just forgotten about, and it does play a part in this movie, which is kind of the big reveal that I'll get to in a few moments. But initially watching this, I was like, oh, okay, I mean, that was a random attack then. I don't know really what was the point of the intro, but in the end, it all made sense. So the bulk of the story follows Alex, played by David Hess, and his friend Ricky, played by Giovanni Lombardo, who basically tag along to this party after they befriend this couple after they have some car trouble. They're the knight in shining armors, so to speak, help out this couple, and through conversation, oh, what are you up to? And oh, okay, well, me and my buddy Ricky, we're gonna tag along. And at the time when I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, the couple seem very easygoing, just to let kind of two strangers they basically stumbled upon a few minutes ago to tag along with them through the night to this party. I mean, what does the host of the party think? It's like, and as the story develops and you see Alex and Ricky go with this couple to the party, you do start to raise questions like the guy who owns the house, he doesn't really question why his friend has brought two random people. Oh, okay, yeah, come in, yeah, shake your hand, and these are question marks, obviously, as an audience, that we'd all naturally question. Wow, okay, there's no, not so much the fact that they can't get to that situation, but there was no, it just happened so seamlessly. To the point where I thought, man, this is some bad writing, man. This is, I mean, and in fairness, this movie does have some extremely bad dialogue, but just in terms of the story, I was like, oh, okay, we're just gonna go from one scene to the next. Oh, look at this couple. Oh, where are you going tonight? Oh, we're having a party. Oh, we'll tag along. Oh, we're at the party. Just so, it was so effortless, without any kind of real world disruption that would usually happen. But that plays a part. That's all point of it. And this is the thing, it's like, actually, retrospectively, I give credit to this movie, credit where credit's due, because even though there is a lot of exploitation, it does make you think a little bit. Not too much. I'm not going to give it too, it's not the greatest movie ever, but it's more than just sex-fueled, deviant kind of horror movie. It is more than that, underneath the surface. So I want to talk about the Ricky character. So clearly Ricky has some sort of mental illness, and we don't really know exactly what's going on with him, but he seems a little off. He basically just goes along with whatever Alex wants. Throughout the movie, you kind of see this almost big brother, little brother relationship evolve, where Ricky looks up to Alex because Ricky, not only is he mentally unstable, but he obviously lacks the social awareness. And obviously, in this environment where there's this party and there's groups of people, Ricky clearly has issues trying to handle himself in that situation. The character of Ricky, played by Giovanni Lombardo, he does some awful things that we obviously, who can condone that? But looking back and taking some time to watch this movie and then trying to look at it from all kind of perspectives, the Ricky character is a victim, as well as these house guests that we see get tortured throughout the movie. It's not clear initially because, as I said, Ricky is going along with Alex. Alex is telling him to sexually assault this girl, molest this woman, do this, do that. And Ricky's he struggles, but he's, kind of awkwardly trying to go along with it to appease his big brother, so to speak, which is Alex, the David Hess character. So Alex and Ricky and the couple arrive at the house on the edge of the park. They meet the other guests, and basically this party ensues. Initially, Alex and Ricky are welcomed, and once again, as I mentioned, there's no real question of why they're here. Oh, okay, come in, please, welcome, So Alex and Ricky are made to feel welcome. They get a drink. Ricky starts to dance hysterically, which is a little bit of a ridiculous scene, going back to the fact that the Ricky character clearly has social awareness issues. The character of Ricky doing this kind of dance and a great performance by Giovanni Lombardo. He really does a great performance, and we see the other guests suggest playing poker, and then they're sitting down, and that's when we start to see the other guests take advantage of Ricky. And I believe the poker game they have is rigged, so they're not dealing the cards correctly. Ricky is, unbeknownst to him, all the while in the other room you've got the sexual deviant himself, Alex, trying to get laid with one of the girls called Susan, I believe. So this is all going on, and just to say 100%, this movie, what lets it down is the fact that it is too long, and there are a number of scenes that easily could have been cut, yet, as I said, things just linger, and that goes back to the exploitation. I really, even though it's not possible, I really would love to get my hands on the original print and recut this movie, because there is a good movie in this. If you cut out the exploitation and even some of the wooden dialogue, I can see a lot. There is a better movie here, But as I said, unfortunately, due to exploitation and sign of the times, that's what we got. So the other guests are starting to subtly act hostile to Ricky and Alex. This basically angers Alex to the point where he starts fighting with the other guests. He pulls out a blade and he's like, kind of like, get back. And this whole kind of party turns into this weird, I don't know, I mean, you've got Alex saying to Ricky, hey, go and molest this woman, take your pick, all this kind of stuff. And, do it in front of everyone so, we can all see. We can all take enjoyment out of this. There is some real depraved stuff going on here. But it is played so well and so authentically by David Hess. He really is probably the best part of this movie, so to speak. He kept me going throughout, because there's a lot of scenes. As I said, this movie overall is quite long. The pace is quite slow. And without David Hess, the other actors, unfortunately, no disrespect, and actually no, Giovanni Lombardo, he's quite interesting, but other than that, all the other characters are quite wooden, to the point where I actually believed it was actually not the storyline, it was actually these actors are incapable or inexperienced and they're unable to deliver a authentic performance. So that's what lets this movie down as well. The bad dialogue, the supporting cast are pretty bad, but David Hess, given how bad they are, it just makes David Hess look so much better. There is one point in the movie where Alex tries to make Ricky sexually assault the character of Gloria, but Ricky capitulates and is unable to go through with the process. It's quite an embarrassing moment for him, the character, as I said, it's kind of in front of everyone, so there's an audience and everyone's just looking at him, being able to perform, so to speak, which obviously is a good thing, because nobody wants sexual assault, but there's this kind of second dilemma of, okay, it's good that he isn't sexually assaulting Gloria, but now that he's not gone through with the process, I believe he says that he's a virgin, or he initiates that he's never had sex before. And this only angers Alex at the fact that I gave you a task, I gave you an order, and you've not followed through. And it's, like slapping him on the face, like, I'm disappointed, and then you've got Ricky, who clearly, as I said, has got this mental illness, like, I'll try again, please, and there's a psychological bullying aspect when it comes to the relationship between Alex and Ricky, and this movie does highlight that, but there definitely could have even been, they could have gone deeper with that. Very, very interesting stuff between those two characters. As the chaos ensues towards the end of the movie, eventually the house guests turn on, or they get the upper hand on Alex, and they shoot him. They shoot him in the leg, and he's kind of wandering and trying to escape the house. And then basically the big reveal happens. So spoiler alert if you don't want to be spoiled, but basically going back to the intro, the sexual assault we saw at the beginning of the movie with Alex running a girl off the road. This now links back because one of the house guests, the character of Tom, who is one of the guests at the party, he was obviously part of the couple at the beginning of the film, he's got blood over himself, he's been injured, he's been assaulted by Alex, but now he has a gun and he's basically pointing it at Alex, and then he tells him that he knows Alex was the guy behind the sexual assault of that girl. More importantly, that girl was the sister of the character of Tom. So Tom, this whole thing was this big orchestrated plan to lure Alex specifically into the home where they could then kill him, which they do, and then basically once the police show up, they can say, oh, it was a home invader, self-defense. And that was the big thing. And once you know that, going back and looking at other scenes, as I said at the beginning of the film, this couple arrives, oh, hey, we need some help with our car, it's not working. And then suddenly, oh, you want to tag along? Yeah, sure, no problem. Just out of nowhere, no real questions asked. I put it down to, man, that's just some bad writing, but it's not, because you look back and you say, hey, that was the whole plan, that was the whole point from Tom and this couple arriving. They didn't really have car trouble. It was just a ploy to, as I said, lure Alex specifically to the house where they could kill him. So Alex is killed. He is shot multiple times, and he's swimming around in the pool trying to catch breath. They eventually kill Alex, and that's it. And I don't know, in terms of the feelings towards the actual characters themselves, I always believe two wrongs don't make a right, and revenge never really helps anyone. And to top it off, if you look back at everything, ultimately Tom, he avenged his sister's murderer, but subsequently he got himself injured and nearly killed, got other people nearly killed. I don't know what the relationship was, but he allowed Susan, the character of Susan, to get sexually assaulted upstairs while Ricky was downstairs keeping guard with a broken glass bottle. So it's kind of like, I mean, yeah, I guess, like, yeah, well done, like, props, bro, you avenged your sister's death, but at what price? Because, and I think that's the thing, because at the end of the very end of the movie, we see Tom and the others conspiring just to say, hey, we'll tell the police this, don't worry about it. And there is definitely a sinister, evil vibe behind the Tom character and behind all of them. And as I said, really, I would have to say the only person I really feel for is Ricky, because the fact that the other guests all went along with this orchestrated plan to commit murder, I don't really feel good for those guys. I don't feel good for Alex, of course, because that guy's a scumbag. And the only one really I feel bad for is Ricky, who subsequently gets stabbed by Alex earlier on because he wasn't able to carry out another task. Poor Ricky, really. Poor Ricky. And poor Ricky and the girl at the beginning of the film. Other than that, all these other characters are pretty disgusting. And as I said, the girl at the beginning is innocent, and Ricky clearly has mental health issues, mental illness that's not being attended to. Thus, that only gets worse, spirals out of control. So I kind of give that character the benefit of the doubt, so to speak, even though he can't condone some of the actions that the character of Ricky did. Yeah, interesting movie. David Hess is fantastic. He really does bring this scumbag authenticity, if that makes sense. He does a great job, and I really have to give it to him. He died over a decade ago now, but I always loved his performance in Last House on the Left. Watched that many years ago, so knew of him, and then subsequently seeing him in this movie now, it was great to see. He really nailed this sickening, disturbing performance of Alex. I've mentioned a few negatives here and there. The end of the thing I have to mention, I don't want to kind of, go on too much about this, but the character of Glenda, played by Marie Joseph, I must say, out of all of the bad supporting cast in this movie, she was probably the worst, because throughout the whole movie, she just never emoted any emotion. She couldn't emote. There was even a point where Alex, David Hess, is kind of face to face with her, and he kind of grabs her, and then he's like, he's just sexually assaulting her, and he's, hurting her, and she doesn't really even flinch. She's just like, oh, okay, there's no emotion there. And I did check on Wikipedia, and she doesn't have any real credits other than this to her name, so I'm not too sure. It obviously clearly looks like she's a very inexperienced actress, and never went on to pursue a big career in acting. But that kind of shows here, unfortunately. It's one thing where I can give benefit of the doubt here. I can, whatever. But her performance, the Glenda character, played by Marie Joseph, was terrible. And obviously the writing as well. I mean, she didn't have much to go with. But when there were times when the character was asked to, be scared or whatever, she couldn't do it. And that did stick out like a sore thumb to me. So in terms of the biggest negative, probably that. But overall, a movie you guys should definitely check out if you haven't already. I do prefer Cannibal Holocaust to this movie. This was also the follow-up by the director Deodato. There is some social commentary going on, especially about rich and poor, because the fact that Alex and Ricky do come from a very poor, obviously, background, working class, and they're invited to this party where everyone's, very, high class. And David Hess's character Alex does mention that a few times here and there. There is a lot more going on than meets the eye, and that's what I do love about watching movies. You can kind of peel back, look within, and see kind of what the director was going for here. Sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not. But if I was going to rate it, I would have to give it a 4.5 out of 10. It's pretty low on the scale. David Hess is the best part of this movie. He carries this movie. So for that alone, 4.5 out of 10. Just reviewing it and what it is, it's a 4.5. There is a lot of elements here that could have been drawn out, that and certain elements like the sexual exploitation could have been cut back. It could have been a lot better, but as I said, I can see a better movie here. But yeah, 4.5 for what we ended up with, the final result. If you guys have seen it, please do comment below. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, please like and subscribe. More reviews coming soon. Thanks.
Like, subscribe.